Have you ever wanted to fly through amazing landscapes? Have you ever wanted to control the elements? Have you ever wanted to wield gigantic missile launchers? Have you ever wanted to team up with your squad of exosuit wearing friends to save the planet? Or most importantly, have you ever wanted the ability to make your exosuit look super cool? Well, if the answer to any of these questions is yes, then Anthem is a good way to start fulfilling those dreams. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be showing you footage from the VIP demo that was available in the weekend just gone, and talking you through the gameplay features we've seen so far from Bioware's latest AAA title, which is releasing in full on the 22nd of February. There's been a lot of hype surrounding this game, and does it live up to it? Let's find out. So if you find this video useful or entertaining, make sure you've hit that like button, and if you're new around here and you want to keep up to date with even more content, then make sure you've hit that subscribe button too. So let's answer the big question first. What is Anthem? In case you've missed any news or haven't seen any footage yet, Anthem is an online multiplayer action role-playing game. Obviously, that's a huge mouthful and doesn't really answer any questions, so let's break it down a little. It has elements of lots of games you might already be familiar with. The combat is done in third person like Gears of War. It's a looter shooter like Destiny. You pick up items of random rarity as you defeat enemies and as rewards like in World of Warcraft and Destiny again. And this list does go on and on, so I'll just explain some more elements. There's a class system with 4 variations to use. Your weapons and loadouts will massively affect how you play, the aim being to get the highest level gear and to synergize your loadout. And it's based around cooperative team play, and there are a ton of cosmetic customizations to play with as well to give your Javelin its own unique look. Now, this is just a short explanation of a lot of the aspects of Anthem you might see, and as you can imagine, there is a lot here to spend a lot of hours on and get lost in. There have been really big comparisons to Destiny, and yeah, Destiny does have a lot of the same ideas as far as like role-playing, loot and loadouts go, but from what I can see from the demo, Anthem is way more in-depth, giving you the opportunity for much more varied sets of loadouts than Destiny can offer. Whether this is true in the full game, I can't really say just yet, but I'd be very surprised if it was any other way. Now, Anthem has a few different ways to play, with a big emphasis on working as a squad of 4, although you can play entirely solo. And even if you are on your own for the cooperative game modes or need some backup from other players, the matchmaking will either stick you in a squad automatically or, depending on your settings, other players can join you in a public server. So what are the ways to play? Well, there are 3 main ways to get involved in the world of Anthem. First up is the missions. Much like a regular story mode, this will see you talking to NPCs and being sent out on intelligence gathering, resource gathering, or elimination/rescue missions. This is where you'll find out the lore of Anthem and open up new parts of the world, new factions to work for, and so on. The Anthem website describes this as the most direct way to gain XP and get rewards, as at the end of each mission you're guaranteed both, depending on your performance. Secondly, there are strongholds. These are dungeon/raid-like missions that require a complete team of 4 to be able to play. These are extra long missions that get progressively more difficult with a big boss battle at the end. This is described as the most challenging aspect of Anthem, and the rewards will match the difficulty of the mission accordingly. Storming a stronghold will take more coordination and more thoughtful squad composition than other missions, because the enemies and challenges will be so varied throughout, and forward planning is obviously advised. Like I mentioned before, the chances of gaining high level rewards is increased along with the difficulty of the mission. Strongholds are the best place to get masterwork and legendary equipment, so it looks like if you're trying to get the best weapons or a big boost in XP, then that is what your squad should be attempting to do. And lastly, there is the chilled version of Anthem in the form of free play. Again, you can jump in solo or as a squad where you'll be free to explore the areas you've unlocked. This is the best way to gather crafting materials, and there are challenges, hidden chests and other open world activities that will grant you rewards too. I found it particularly useful to learn the controls and test out new weapons, but most importantly to learn how to stop flying straight into walls. So what about the Javelins? These are the exosuits that you'll be playing as. This is essentially your playable character. And what are the classes you can play as? Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with each of these because there's a lot to be said about each class and what they can do, so I'll just give you a brief overview. There are 4 distinct classes you can choose from in-game, each with their own attributes and playstyle that goes along with it. The Ranger is the Javelin you're given at the start of the VIP demo, and this is the most versatile of the Javelins. It deals out decent damage and has good movement speed, sort of jack of all trades, and definitely a good way to start learning the game. Then we've got the Colossus, which is the tank class, or the big boy bullet sponge, as one of my mates called it. The Colossus can soak up a lot of damage. It also deals out the most damage in one go, carrying the heaviest weapons, and has abilities that draw the enemy's fire. As a trade-off, it's the slowest and least agile of the 4 classes, but can be very useful, especially against the more heavily armoured enemies. So those are the 2 classes I actually played as in the demo. The next 2 I've only seen in action and read up about. So next up is the Interceptor. This is the fastest and most agile Javelin, the only one to have a triple jump in fact, and is sort of like a mechanized ninja. It has very powerful melee attacks, and the loadout encourages you to single out enemies, jump in close to them, take them out, and backflip out of the action to recover. You're armed with various shuriken type throwables and an ultimate that supercharges 2 small swords that will see you jumping from enemy to enemy just like Genji in Overwatch, and this is the fastest paced way to play from the looks of things, and to be honest I'm really interested to give it a go myself. Last up we've got the range specialist, the Storm. It's described on the Anthem website as a glass cannon. It deals area of effect damage in large quantities but has the lowest amount of armour and shields. The Storm uses elemental attacks, so you'll be throwing out shards of ice, fireballs, or going full Palpatine shooting lightning from your fingertips when you take down enemies. This looks like it's a very useful support role Javelin, laying down damage to multiple targets for your teammates to swoop in and clean up. It's apparently the most difficult Javelin to get to grips with, but I imagine with practice and some intelligent play it can also be the most powerful. Now we've got all of that out of the way, what is Anthem like to play? Now you've been watching the gameplay footage for a while so you can get an idea about how the combat works, and I found it to be a lot of fun when the servers were actually working. It's got something pretty unique involving the mech suits. Having the ability to fly instantly and to hover above a firefight is really cool. Not an entirely original idea, no, but the way it's executed here is a lot of fun. It guarantees that every fight is different because you have so many different tools to use and so many ways to approach each fight. Do you drop in from above and start swinging? Do you sit back and pick some enemies off? Do you fly over your targets and drop some explosives? Or do you walk calmly at the enemies soaking up the damage? The possibilities are really, really vast. I'm a big fan of the movement so far. It's kind of like being Iron Man crossed with Goku, which if you don't want to experience yourself, I think you need to rethink your life choices. The hoverability in particular is awesome. It makes it way easier to aim your weapons and gadgets, and you gain a big advantage over your targets by being above them, with the added bonus of finishing off any stragglers with a superhero-esque ground pound. The environments are big, encouraging you to use your jetpacks as often as possible, and for me at least, having the ability of flight in a video game is always really, really fun. Like I mentioned before, there are a whole load of customizations for weapons, abilities, gadgets, and cosmetics you can get stuck into. As you progress, you'll unlock new weapons, new class abilities, and cosmetics, and this is where you start to make your own build, the Javelin that suits your playstyle and looks exactly how you want it to. Now, I love a good progression system, and gathering and crafting loot as well. This is the aspect I feel is going to keep players hooked on Anthem for a really long time. God knows I spent hundreds of hours trying to get a perfect roll on some weapons in Destiny 1, so this is a really attractive part of the game for me. Building up to that perfect loadout is something a lot of RPG lovers will really enjoy, and with further expansions and new weapons and the possibility for multiple loadouts, it's going to take a really, really long time for all of the options to be exhausted. I mean, after 6 months, dropping in a new class of Javelin will probably get players spending another 100 hours or so finding the perfect loadout, so in theory this game already has some legs on it. Now, you've got to take everything I say with a pinch of salt. It's easy to get swept up in a new game, especially one that has a lot of exciting features. And I'm sure Anthem has a lot of issues and bad points too, but the demo wasn't really long enough to allow time to find out what most of them were. I did notice though that there's a bit of a lack of feedback when you're taking damage. Also, when choosing a difficulty for a mission, it's not clear whether you're really under level and therefore going to be stuck at the start of the mission for half an hour before you give up. And the menus could do with some work too. They need more clarity, especially in the customization screens, because it's easy to get lost with so many options. And again, I'm sure there are lots of issues with the gameplay itself, as it's still not out for a full release, and like all games, will need some work on it as time goes on. There were also huge issues with the servers not working properly throughout the demo weekend, but it was just a demo, and I think there's been way more interest than I think they were prepared for, so I'm going to give Bioware and EA the benefit of the doubt on that one. The VIP demo, aside from the issues, looked like it was a big success, and they seem to be marketing Anthem really well too. A free roaming RPG with a lot of progression systems and team play is a really exciting prospect. It looks like it will be a lot of fun and really has big potential to be great, but bear in mind I did say the same thing about Battlefield 5 and that's turned out to be a bit of an embarrassment, hasn't it? So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for footage and reviews, and hopefully we've got a really good game to look forward to just before the spring. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think about Anthem? Have you played it yet? Did you get in on the VIP demo? Make sure you let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. And here's a quick thank you to those of you guys that are helping to support the channel through Patreon. It's because of you guys that I'm able to put content out as often as I do, and hopefully with more support I'll be able to bring more content to you guys more often. So if you want to become a patron yourself, I've linked the Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment, where if you'd like to, you can help support the channel from as little as $1 a month. So if you had a good time, make sure you've hit that like button. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button too. Don't forget the bell button for notifications so you don't miss any future posts. And as always, feel free to share this video with whoever and wherever you like. And until next time, that's game over. Peace.